Hi, I'm Dave, owner of Future Past Vintage Collectibles, here with my daughter Rachel,
Hi.
bringing you comic content every week. And right away, let's talk about what we have coming up.
Yeah, we do claim sales over on Instagram, so if you don't follow us over there, definitely do. And make sure you follow us here too. Subscribe.
Yes.
But every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do a bargain sale called Show Me the Bargain. And then every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do a high grade claim sale. And they're both a lot of fun.
And by the way, we buy collections. We buy collections. So if you're even thinking about selling your books, please reach out to us. Our email's in the description. We buy collections. Anyway, let's go to the content. A lot of people bought a lot of books in the last couple of years, and I think some of them are scratching their heads on why they've gone down so much. Others may be wondering if those books are ever going to come back. We're not talking about those today.
Based on the title, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about those. We're talking about what books could you have bought that you're doing okay in this whole time. And you'd be surprised, there's a lot of them. As a matter of fact, the books you hear people that make comic book content about the most are probably the ones you wanted to stay away from. Especially like on this upcoming list, like the Hot 10. The Hot 10 are usually really cold books trying to fight their way back. That's not what we're talking about today. Some of these books took a dip, but for the most part, these books are solid as a rock. They may not be blue chip keys. Some of them are blue chip E. They're
Blue chippy.
blue chippy
We're going to
keys.
coin that.
Little chip.
Baby chip.
I have some somewhat significant books, a couple of bigger books, but most of these you could have gotten along the way, and the fact is they weren't tremendously cheaper. So we're going to go back to 2021 and compare today. I've had most of the books we're talking about that long. Let's start with Joker number 1.
Yes, this one is from 1975. You may have seen it. Also, these are all books that we own.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that. So we have all of the slabs that we're going to be talking about because that's what we do here.
I try to talk about books I have. Sometimes it's kind of weird. Somebody's talking about, you should buy this, but they don't have one. I like to have what I buy. I'm not saying I'd never make a video
We're
like
also
that.
not saying you should buy them, but
Yeah.
that's the thing we do.
And these aren't for sale.
No.
Just so you know. Okay.
All of these are probably PC. Well, this one probably
PC-ish.
because you have a 9.8 of this, so that's probably not PC. But
Yeah. Well, I sell comics for a living, and if I get desperate, I might have to crack one of these up.
everything's
Who knows?
PC-ish if he's keeping it.
PC-ish.
Anyway, so this is Joker number 1 from 1975, DC Comics, iconic. There it is. It's a 9.6 white pages. So you may be thinking, it's not a 9.8. Is that investment grade? Let's find out.
We're not showing any 9/8s today.
This is all not 9.8s.
Yeah. I think it's a misnomer that really investment grade is only the highest grade.
Like the highest grade available to them.
Highest grade you can possibly get, or the most rare. Those are great to reach for, but oftentimes they're not attainable. And a lot of these books, the examples we're showing you, are very high grade examples of these books, and they're great to have, and they hold their own, and they're they're popular. They stay that way.
A couple books we have too may not be books that you should invest in at all. So we'll let you know if we get to those.
Yeah. There's a couple that are a little bit like dogs. They're dogs. Okay.
All right. Joker number 1, 9.6 white pages. The highest sale of a 9.6 in 2023 was $565. The lowest was $232. There was 25 sales in 2023.
How about in 2021?
In 2021, there were 26 sales. Highest sale was $670. Lowest was $275.
Okay.
About $100 more.
So it's shifted over. This is a $500 to $600 book all day long.
I will say in 2022, the highest sale was $716.
Yeah. And I would say
That was the highest sale ever of this book in 9.6, by the way.
this book remains popular. It's Joker's first solo series. It's got great stories, great art. All of the covers are great. The whole series is pretty popular. I noticed that when we do sell copies of this, we never hold on to them in any grade.
I will say, too, I'm going to pull this up to see if it's white pages or not, because our issue is white pages. One sold this year, 2024, for $300, which, ooh-wee, that's lower than
Let's
the
take
highest.
a look at it.
It's off-white white pages. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
A lot of these, because like a lot of the highest graded copies are what we're showing you, if there is a lower price point, it's usually because it's off-white pages.
Yeah, all books are not created equal. For instance, this particular copy, if you can pull it back up, I want you to look at the centering on this. This is one of the nicest 9/6s of this book I've ever seen. It's perfectly centered. It is a white page copy. It's just an impeccable book. Do I think I could get a 9.8? I kind of don't really always look for that. I think it's risky. Sometimes when you take it out of the encapsulation, you crack it out of the case, it doesn't, you might see a defect you didn't see. So on a 9.6 like this, I'll just keep it the way it is. But this particular book, I would really focus on all of these books. If I'd recommend something to someone, try to get a copy with white pages, try to get one that's well-centered, try to get one with a good color strike. Don't get FOMO. There's copies of this out there. They don't come up all the time, but 9.8 of this, what's the price difference in a 9.6 and 9.8?
Yes, so a 9.8 recently sold for $1,425.
Yeah.
But I was also going to say, we mentioned this in the last video where we talked about 9.8s, but the census shows that there's 367 9.6s and 142 9.8s. So 9.6s are a lot easier to get than a 9.8.
Right.
So that's another reason why 9.8s are so much more.
Correct. That's a good thing to point out. 9.6 is still a solid investment in this book. If you like this book, you like to park your money there. You don't want something with huge, ups and downs. Stable. Also, there's enough 9.6s out there where there'll be some for sale at all times. You'll be able to find a copy. But that's our advice on these types of things: is get picky. If you're going to keep this book for a long time, it's worth paying the extra money to make sure that it's all shored up. Yeah. So there's tons of raw copies available of this. Like I said, this is a book I just kind of tuck in. I know I could sell it if I wanted to, anytime. I invested in this book. I spent a lot because I liked the way it was entered. I liked the grade of it.
It's white pages.
Let's talk about another book that's interesting. Let's look at Howard the Duck #1.
Yes, this one's from 1976. It's also white pages. The highest sale for this book ever was $450. That was in 2022. In 2023, the highest sale was $309 and the lowest was $130.
That's a huge jump.
Huge. And then in 2021, the highest was $350, lowest $148. So 2022 is when this book really shined. A book sold this year, 2024, for $224 at 9.6.
Yeah, so I think it's a somewhat safe book. What's the difference in price between a 9.6 and a 9.8?
A 9.8 recently sold for $671. So $224 versus $671. Like 9.8 is definitely the investment grade for this book. But you can still, that's $224 isn't nothing.
9.6 for a book from 1976 is great. So if you do like this book, this is a book I think that's been very stable over the years.
The Batman 237. It's a 9.6 white pages.
So this is another book. If you would have bought this in 2021 and you're still holding on to it, how would you have done when it's not a 9.8? By the way, 9.8 of this book is very expensive. It's the first appearance of Death. It's a fantastic Neil Adams cover. The whole concept of this book was done by Bernie Wrightson. It's just a fantastic book.
Something to note about this book is that there are several pedigrees in 9.6 only for this particular issue, which is interesting. Yeah. There's Twin Cities, file copies, Don Maggie Thompson collection, all of them. So this is a 9.
Those are all the big Bronze Age pedigrees, and it makes sense they'd have this book.
Yeah, but they're all in 9.6, so not a 9.8, which is interesting. So a 9.6 of this book, there's only 3 sales in the last 12 months, so people hold on to it, was $1,925. That was in 2023. That was the highest sale it's ever had.
And that was a pedigree.
So we think that sale was a pedigree and maybe it wasn't filtered correctly because we looked onto Heritage at the most recent sales, and that one had recently sold, and because it's showing that the pedigree hadn't sold since 2019 or something. So,
right. So if I bought this book in 2021, white pages, what do you think I'd have spent?
In 2021?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what people did. Oh, no one bought it in 2021.
There's no sales?
There's no recorded sales in 2021 for this book. It sold in 2020 and then in 2023.
And where are the differences in the sale prices in 2023?
In 2020, it sold for $727 was the highest sale. In 2023, the highest sale was the $1,925 and the lowest sale was $851.
Yeah.
So still higher than the highest sale in 2020, which is crazy.
This book continues to be popular. Once again, it's about the color strike, the centering, all of
the cover. I mean, it's a skeleton.
It's a fantastic book. Once again, it's a book you could have bought in the height of the comic boom, and you'd be pretty happy sitting there today. It's still an expensive book.
I'm sure there are a
A
lot
copy
of...
just sold for $1,900, and even if you think that if the pedigree brought it up 50%, that still makes it an $800 book. And I actually spent more than that on this copy because it's such a nice copy.
Well, there's only 937 slabbed, but it is interesting that like none of them trade. So it's like either they're just all trading unrecorded, like on Comic Link or something, or people just hold on to them forever when they get them.
And what percentage of the census is 9.6 or 9.8?
Let's see. So there's 937 total copies graded, 19 9.8s and 49 9.6s. The most graded copies are 9.0.
Yeah. So 9.0s are trading probably the most. It's just a small fraction when you're that small of a percentage. It makes sense that this book's a little more sought after. I'm sure some are still out there in people's PCs, but in 9.6, it's tough.
By the way, the last 9.8 sold for $3,000. So
yeah,
9.8's the way to go if you can get a 9.8, but I don't know. There's not many of them.
Is it though? I sometimes I wonder if you're a collector, if you really need a 9.8 in this book.
Well,
is it worth it? I mean,
it'd be easier to get a 9.0. Like as far as like availability.
Yeah, if 9.0 fits your requirements and your personal collection, I get it. If you're doing this for an investment, I would probably stick with the higher grade copy, not necessarily a 9.8. I think this book still has room to grow in 9.6. 9.8, not so much. I'm not selling it right now. I'll wait.
Well, even in 9.4, it just sold for $1,000. So 9.4 wouldn't be a bad investment.
Well, what does that tell you about 9.6? If that sold for $1,000, what should 9.6 sell for?
It probably should sell for about $2,000.
Yeah.
Which is what it sold for last. Which again, we think it might be a file copy, but we don't know for sure.
Even if it was, it's not going to be like multiples because it's not a mile high. Anyway, right. Let's do the next book.
Okay. All right. Next one we're going to look at is House of Mystery 175.
This is a misunderstood book. And hi, if you're a horror collector and you're new to that, welcome aboard. I'd like to share.
I'm sorry. If you want a high grade copy of this, I'm sorry.
I'd like to share something with you. You guys are buying the wrong books. I'm here to tell you that if it's horror and Bronze Age doesn't mean that all of them are equal. Why is this one in a different place than the others? Well, it's downright scarce in grade. You can find these in mid-grade. They're out there in 5.0, fine minus, very good. Man, you start getting to like 8.5 on this book, they're just not there. 9.4 white pages is one of only a couple of books that high grade. I estimate that this particular copy, and it's not centered perfectly, but it is a pristine book, and the white page copies are just rare.
This is the first appearance of Kane. Also, we didn't mention that. That's the significance of it.
First Neil Adams cover in the series. First appearance of Kane. This is actually, while issue number 174 was the first in the horror format, it was 175 that introduced Kane and brought Neil Adams, and we were off to the races with some incredible covers.
Then it was history.
And stories. So this is a really nice copy. I think at auction this book would get between $4,000 and $5,000. I'm not selling my copy. They're too scarce. I can't replace it. If I ever could, if I found a 9.6 or something, I got lucky. I doubt that's going to happen, but
yeah, there's a lot of raw copies on eBay, but they're
a lot.
Pretty expensive for raw in low grade.
Give me an example.
$150 for like a very good plus.
I think, people are focused on some of the later era and they're spending hundreds of dollars. And I have the next couple I'm going to talk about are probably the ones if you could get for $300, I would. I don't think I would get one that's a 60-cent, cover that's after the 15 and 20 centers, which is a very small window, 72, 73, that had some of the best covers. I think people are looking for skull covers and some other things. And those are tropes that they just kept ripping and throwing on covers. There's some
really cool ones for House of Mystery, skull covers.
There are, but the ones I'm about to show you are not that. They're a little more sophisticated, and they're all Neil Adams. So I didn't even bring some of the big ones. I'm just showing books, once again, that aren't 9.8s. I would go into stats on this book. There really aren't any.
I was going to say, the last sale of a 9.4, which is the highest graded recorded sale, is from 2017. And then the census, there really are not very many of these graded. 99 graded copies. Highest graded 9.6, which I know you wish you had that one.
There's one 9.6.
There's one 9.6. There's 6 9.4s, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
How many of those white pages?
It's gone up 33%. There was only 4 9.4s when I got it 4 years ago. 3.5 years ago. So 2 more have come out of collections, and that's great.
Well, and the big thing with this one is the white pages, right? Because you always say that these are really hard to find in white pages.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to see out of all of the other 9.4s, how many are white pages. I would venture to say there might be one more, but I don't know. I doubt it. Yeah. This is an interesting book. Another one, if you'd have bought this, and I did. I bought this in 2020 or 2021. Might have paid about $250 at the time.
I remember when you got it because you were very excited.
I love this book. So let's talk about it.
Okay, so this is House Mystery 186. The key significance... Oh, it's just Neil Adams cover. And it's off-white. So keep that in mind. So
it has Bernie Wrightson and Neil Adams on the interior.
Interior, yes, which is cool. I wish we could see it. That's okay, though. So a 9.4 of this. The last sale was in 2022. It's only one sale in the last, however many, 3 years. $300 in 2022.
Yeah, if you could get this book for $300... As a matter of fact, if you don't want it and you see it, call me. I'll buy another copy. This is off-white to white, which is really normal for these. It was very few copies I've seen come up to market. I can't think of 2 other copies I've ever seen. And it's interesting, this pan figure floating above the air, leading the children with another one coming up. It's just a great theme, and it's got 3 kids, and I don't know. Focus on this guy. What's he up to?
The little boy's like, yeah. The most recent sale of this was a 9.2 in May of 2023. It sold for $159. Which I don't know.
I think that's a good price on that book.
It was white.
Yeah, that's
white pages.
That's great. 9.2.
And in the census for this book, there are 80 total graded copies. Highest graded is 9.8. There's 2 9.8s of this. I bet that's worth money. 17 9.4s.
Yeah, so this is popular with people who like Neil Adams. It's popular with people who like House of Mystery. May not be one of them in the zeitgeist right now that people are talking about, but I think if you have a book like this and you're worried about, are my comics going to lose all their value? Not if they're like this. They're hard to find. They're hard to find in grade. They have a great cover. So for me, in my collecting, I really like books that I like to look at.
I want to get a reader so we can look at the Bernie Wrightson art someday.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Okay, then the last House of Mystery we're going to look at is House of Mystery 191. Another Neil Adams cover. And it is a 9.4 white pages. Another white pager. So
this one is really well centered. Very difficult to find in white pages. Once again, just great Neil Adams cover. Scary scene with this stuffed animal leering over this kid.
They're making a movie about a stuffed animal.
I mean, this is just a scary cover. Now, back to the book. I love the centering on this. It is white as snow.
The color strike is crazy on it.
Just even the back cover. This is just a great book. So this is the stuff that gets me excited. Once again, I bought this in 2020 or 2021. Tell us a little bit about the price of books like this.
Yeah, so there's only been 2 sales recorded of a 9.4. The last sale was in August of 2023 for $216. There was another sale.
That was a score if it was a nice copy.
Which I can look and see what the color or the page quality was. And then in 2022 it sold for $185. So let me look at the 2023.
So as these, and that's what I was bringing up. You'll see some of the other ones like Weird War Tales. Some of this stuff is spiking up, and I think that people are just kind of getting any copy. Where it's these covers right here are iconic. They kicked it off. They're all quite different than the next. And I just think that I'll never worry about holding on to these. I believe that a 9/4 white pages of this book should go between $400 and $500.
The one that sold for the $217 was off-white white pages.
Yeah.
Which, again, is like pretty typical for these. So if you see a white pager and it's not
they get downright rare in white pages. I mean, there's very few copies on Earth of these in white pages. That's why you might be asking yourself, well, what do I care about the pages if I can't open it? Well, we always think that a book with white pages is going to last longer. It's going to stay vibrant.
It will get that foxing.
Yeah, we hope.
We hope.
I don't know what this looks like in 50 years, but we're starting off in a really good spot. You know what I'm saying?
The one that sold in 2022 was off-white pages for $184.
Big difference. Again,
and that was also 2 years ago. A lot's changed.
That's 2 grades in paper quality down.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right above cream. 74 total graded copies. Highest graded copies at 9.8. There's only 3 9.8s, 5 9.6s, and there's 23 9.4s.
Yeah. So if you do see a copy, it's probably going to be a 9.4. The other ones, they're going to go for a lot of money. Would I like a 9.6 of this? No. Here's what's funny. 9.2, we talked about 9.2 a moment ago. 9.2s are a little bit less than I like because it's some wear can be present. You can have some corner issues that you can see the naked eye, 18 inches away. So I like books that present like this. I think the incremental and improvements from 9.4 to 9.6 to 9.8 are not worth it.
For you to like spend the money on
Not
it.
because I have this copy.
Not to mention, like,
If it was another copy, I might. This copy is so nice that this 9.4 looks amazing.
Not to mention, like, you'd be fighting with a lot of other people that also really want it.
Well, to that point, that fight I've learned because I no longer have FOMO. I'd like to report, everyone, the FOMO bug has left the building.
It's the dealer. The dealer.
When I step back and I don't bid, and I see someone's about to get it under an amount that I think it should go for, by me not bidding, they might get that book. But I know what happened. I didn't have to pay the most. I didn't jump it up $100 or whatever.
You weren't like playing the system or anything.
Yeah.
Either, so.
I mean, sometimes you're just better off backing out and letting someone else get a deal. Remember, let someone else get a deal, guys. You don't have to ruin it for everyone.
Ruin it.
Ruin it.
Okay.
I've ruined many a deal for other people. I'm just saying.
All right. Next, we're going to do
Stay
Brave.
in this very similar, same vein.
We're going to do Brave and the Bold, number 93.
If you don't own this book and you're a fan of Batman and you're a fan of House of Mystery, what are you waiting for? This is one of my favorite covers of all time.
DC collab of all collabs. Okay.
I've talked about this book before. I wanted it in a 9.6. I had to settle out of court. I found one and I paid money. I mean, I paid a lot for this book in an auction. So glad I got it because they don't go down. These things just continue to fight their way up.
So this one's a 9.4 off-white pages. So in the last year, there's only been one sale, and it was for $575 in September of 2023. 2022, there were two sales, highest being $655. And in 2022, the highest sale was $660. There was only two.
So I'm going to bring this up all through this video. A focus on page quality, centering, color strike. It really does pay off in the long run because there are so many people like me that look at that stuff. And it's one of the things about this whole scam that happened with someone switching books out for lower grade books. We look at books all the time, and I'm here to tell you I buy the book and not the grade. Haven't always been that way. Had a lot more trust in CGC being accurate, but along the way. But what I've learned is they can be accurate and I can still not like the way a book looks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, technically, I use that word a lot now.
9.6.
You know, technically, a book doesn't necessarily even have to number out. Let's say there's a book that's 8.5, technically. But you're looking at it saying, this is the best copy of this book I've ever seen. Especially 60s books. You're going to find that a lot. Yeah, technically, there could be a higher grade one, but it might not be centered as nice or whatever. So as a collector and someone who invests in comic books long term to sell, I really try to get the best books I can. Even raw books that I'm selling for $10, I'm picky. I turn stuff down, and if it's not at a certain quality, I just kind of get rid of it cheap. So I'm always looking to provide what it is I'm looking for. High grade books. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we have that bargain sale on Fridays, because where are we going to put those books, you know?
Those are the rejects, and other people...
The high grade sale.
Yeah, so we have a high grade sale on Monday, and on Friday we do $5. Everything's $5 or less, and that's been going very well. A lot of those books are worth a lot more than that, but they're just not books I'm really looking forward to selling. Or like
At
putting
the
it up
grade
there
they're at.
and then have to drop the price. Let's not play the game. And I'll just put all these at $5.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some books, and you'll notice that we're going to switch eras. Now, this is what I'm talking about, Rachel. In 2021, people were buying books up, hoping they would double or triple, or there would be some MCU property, some show on Disney Plus, or some movie that would make this book forever a Spider-Man #1. That is not what happened. We learned a lot, and what we learned is that there still has to be enough of an audience behind comic books that collect them, that are willing to keep them in their collections. If people are just buying to flip, what you have is a real fluid market, always moving. People are trading, and then people might burn out on them. You see 10 copies all of a sudden, you can't sell your copy, but you might need the money. So now you're going to start dropping the price, and you've seen these prices just dive, some of them on some really big keys, some of them not such big keys, and I think some are going to struggle to ever reach the highs that they met. Some may never get there again.
These are some of the
Just
books
saying.
we think are that.
Yeah, and we didn't go out of our way to grab a lot. I just grabbed a couple.
The two that were like, okay, yeah, we know that this is.
They had a little bit of heat on them. They've been around for a minute. They're still somewhat older. Talk about this one, Legends #1.
Yes, so this is Legends #1 from 1986. It's a 9/6 white pages. I believe we got it slabbed. I think we slabbed it.
Yeah, we did.
So it is.
It's the first appearance of Amanda Walker. If you guys are watching Suicide Squad, she's I think she has her own show coming out even.
So maybe this is gonna blow up. It's not.
This is going to be the most valuable book in the world.
10. No, it's
Okay.
all right. So I'm gonna start with the 9/8 data,
All right.
just to give you the variation. So in 9/8, this book highest sale it's ever had in 9/8 was $185. The lowest it's ever had was $14. And that must have been in an eBay auction.
Yeah, I'd buy it for $14.
The 185 sale was actually in 2023, which is interesting because that's not usually what you would see. But maybe the spec around the show and
it got
stuff
announced.
was what it did.
Yeah, it got reannounced.
And again, that's for 9/8. So let's talk about 9/6. Now, the last sale of this book in 9/8 was $50, which isn't great. But okay, highest sale of 9/6 in this book was $100. Lowest sale was $10. The last sale was $13. 9/6 slab. Like, what the heck? How is that even allowed?
Let me tell you, this is what we call overcorrection. How is it allowed?
It doesn't seem fair to anyone.
Here's what this book is for someone like that. If they spent $28 slabbing it and sold it for $13, not only did they lose money on the book, they lost money on the slab, and they paid someone to take this off their hands. Even if they paid cover price, they're buried in the book because they had to pay fees or whatever.
Yeah.
So
It just doesn't seem fair to anyone, not even the buyer, because it's like you're buying something that's not worth anything at that point.
here's what's funny about that. When that person bought that for $13, they killed it.
Like, that was it.
It's like they stuck the last knife in it. Like, now everyone's going to know this is a $13 book. Is that real? Actually, it's not. It could have been an auction. They started at $1 and they did it at a bad time or something, or just no one was interested right then. So this book gets registered as selling for $13. The next person's not going to be really anxious to pay $50 for it, which is, I think, the price. The
50 was 9.8. No, it was January. It was this year that sold for 13.
So what's the average 90-day average on the 9.6?
90-day average for 9.6 is $32.
Yeah.
12-month average is $52. So $13 definitely killed the book for sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot of these out there. This is what I call a dead book. Do I think it'll come back? I do. I think that if Amanda Waller does a good job on her show, that more interest will happen. I think it's the kind of book you're just better off not having unless you're an Amanda Waller fan or you're a fan of Legends. And it's a pretty cool miniseries. There's a couple issues in here that are pretty cool.
It's really interesting, though, because it's like back in the day whenever we did slab this, we were slabbing everything. Like, we wouldn't slab something like this now. Not even a thought to slab it. We would sell it raw, and it would be probably $8 or something. I don't know, at a 9.6, I have no idea with it selling for $13. But
it makes my and this is John Byrne, by the way. It's
a great cover.
There's a lot going on for this. Kind of makes my stomach turn a little bit. What I thought was happening in comic books compared to what is actually happening, or how I thought we would sell comic books compared to how we are selling comic books, has profoundly changed.
But at the same time, it's the same, because you always wanted to have high-grade copies of books. They're just like slabbed. They're still high-grade, you know?
Yeah, and I've got stacks of books I'm going to send in, but I will tell the people on my claim sales that as I go through, if something's not like just a grand slam, thousands of dollars, if it's, I wanted a 9.6 and that book is coming back 9.2 or 9.4, selling it raw, selling it at my claim sale. Mm-hmm. Not because I think it's a waste of money. I do think in the time it takes, the effort it takes, the expense it takes, I can do just fine selling raw. And by the time I would have got it back and wondered if, the grade matched what we thought it would.
Or if the book is even hot anymore.
I've sold 500 books since then.
Yeah.
We're moving on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it gives someone else a little bit of a deal on it. and people are really happy with our grading because we accurately grade. So yeah, let's go to the next book.
Yeah, so here's another one. This is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur #1 from 2016. It's a 9/6 white pages. This is the first print. There's lots of different prints of this book.
Which is indicated by the color of the number here. Yeah, if this number is a different color, it's a different printing. This is the first print.
Mm-hmm.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is a twist on The Devil Dinosaur, which was a short series that came out in the 70s, Jack Kirby.
Those books are cool.
I liked the fact that they're doing this, and there was a lot of buzz around this animated show that was going to come out. And by the way, when it came out, I watched it. It was one of the hardest things to watch I'd ever seen. I know it was aimed at a younger crowd than me.
I never watched it.
I just didn't care for it whatsoever.
Okay, so let's talk about the data on this book. We got this slabbed. I'm sure
a couple years ago.
Yeah, we were aiming for a 9.8.
Back in the day when we did that.
This was when CGC will love to give us 9.6s on the books we knew were 9.8. I'm going to cut that because that doesn't matter.
Well, no, it does matter. I still think it's a 9.8.
Yeah.
If we cracked it and resubmitted it, but it's not even worth it.
There was a time when CGC was giving all 9.8s, 9.6s, so that's fun. The other scandal of CGC.
The first scandal, the actual scandal.
All right, so...
That scandal's called, I don't know how to grade.
I'm new to this. Okay, so we'll start with 9.8 data, because it's actually really interesting, the similarity. There's also some variants of this that are worth a lot more, but we don't like the cover as much as...
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to talk about that one.
Oh.
Well, we can.
Don't be hating. Show the cover.
Well, here's the cover. The last one sold for $400, so if you have that, if it's a 9.8, get it going. Okay, so the last sale of a 9.8 was in January of 2024 for $124. 90-day average for a 9.8 is $122, and the 12-month average is $161. For a 9.6, last one sold for $127.
Mm-hmm.
$78 is the 90-day average. $91 is the 12-month average. So something weird happened.
2021, how much was a 9.8 going for?
2021, the highest sale of this book ever was $810 in 9.8.
Which is why I thought, hey, I'll send that in.
Get into the 9.8er?
I had one back then. I had 3, actually.
Highest sale of a 9.6 ever was $600 in, guess what year? 2021. But it was $525 in 2022. And then in 2023, it said no.
The bottom fell out. Yeah. Do I think this will ever be worth that high again? I really don't. This is a dandy.
This is Uncanny X-Men 141. Beginning of the Days of Future Past storyline.
So this is the first of a 2-part series. One of my favorite X-Men covers. I love the Wanted poster behind them. That's why I named us Future Past Vintage Collectibles. This is a really nice copy, by the way. It's really perfectly centered. It's got a little more white than I would like in a perfect scenario.
Holy crap. That's crazy. All right, so this is a 9.6 white pages. We'll start with 9.8 info so we can compare and contrast.
So I have a 9.8 of this. I've got a Pence copy of this. I got a few copies. I gave Rachel a copy. It's the first book I ever gave her.
I have an 8.5 of it.
Yep.
So a 9.8 of this book recently sold for $795. 90-day.
That's very cheap.
Yeah, for the 12-month average is $881. Highest sale ever of this book in 9.8 was $2,655 in 2021.
Isn't that crazy?
Whew. All right, so let's look at 9.6. So the last 9.6 sold for $272. That was January of 2024. Highest sale of this book ever was $987 in 2021. Lowest sale ever was $40. That was probably a long time
Here's
ago.
what's interesting. Do I think these will come back? I kind of do. I mean, not that there's not a lot of copies. I believe that people love this storyline. It's not going anywhere. It's already been made into a movie, but the fact is X-Men is just one of the most popular series. So it may not get back to that highest of highs from 2021, and I sure hope you didn't buy one then. But let's say you did, and you spent the most anyone's ever spent. Hang on to it. I think this book has longevity, unlike a lot of books. Because it was way popular before the comic boom.
Yeah.
It just happened to explode because all of a sudden everyone got FOMO. They were sitting at home bored and they thought, I want a copy of that too, So this is a book I do think will make a comeback over time. Slowly but surely. It's not a dog, but the value's gone down from 2021. How much was this book in 2019?
For a 9.6.
5 years ago. Let's do a 5-year analysis.
The highest sale was $290. The lowest was $122. in 2019.
So in the last 5 years, it really hasn't gone down.
Well, it's leveling out to what it was before the comic boom, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah. It's about the same price that it was in 2019.
What's fascinating, you guys, is you're going to see a lot of books that have gone down to pre-pandemic numbers and then lower and lower. Oh, I don't know. Maybe like books like
$13 Legends over here.
This has never been $13. I mean,
it's not.
That's just ridiculous. It really is. I think it's worth more than that. Would I pay $30 for it?
Not after that $13 sale. Not today.
I mean, that doesn't stop me. I think there's a lot of glitches right now because so many people are using software of a different type. It's only showing some sales. I bet you this sold for $50 or $75 somewhere. But now that hits, I don't know, this circle, this cognoscente of what you should spend, realize that you're not going to find a $13 copy. If you can find a second $13 copy, please let us know.
Again, it had to have been an auction. There's no way someone's just listed it for $13.
Why not just give it to someone then? Send me ship. I mean, $13 is not...
someone just was given books for free.
It's dinner at McDonald's.
If that.
This to me is the best conditioned book I'm showing tonight. Is there more than one kind of 9.6? Man, there are. And this is what I'm talking about. So I spent a premium on this, by the way.
So it's Star Wars #1
yes.
from 1977.
Yes.
9.6, white pages, part 1 of Star Wars A New Hope, movie adaptation. And it's not a 35-cent variant.
While it's not perfectly centered, it's very close. White pages, this is a great book. Iconic series. Star Wars is its own universe, even in comic collecting.
So a 9.6, highest sale of this book ever was $2,100 in 2022. In 2021, the highest sale was $1,600, just for, whatever. The highest sale, there's actually been 4 sales this year in 2024. And
that's a lot.
It's only January 18th.
Yeah,
it's going to create trades a lot. The highest sale this year in 2024 was $1,100. Lowest was $810. So it's definitely gone down quite a bit.
Well, that's just this year.
It's gone down a lot from 2022, where it sold for $2,100.
Right. It is. It's been good. It's been around $1,000. I think that that lower copy, the 800 something, wasn't white pages or might not have been well centered.
Well, 2023, the highest sale was $1,530. Lowest was $667. So that's a pretty wide range.
Let's do a 5-year. 5 years ago, what was this book?
So in 2019, $779 was the highest sale.
So this is a book that is going up and up and up.
Yeah, the last sale of it was $935.
Yeah, and you know what? This, depending on what the copy looks like.
You can even see it in the graph. It's like boop, 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 boop.
Yeah. It just depends on when and where it is. I think every Star Wars fan, it all starts right here. Anyway, yeah, next book.
It's an expensive one. All right, last book is Iron Man 55.
Now, this particular copy, go ahead and tell the people what it is.
Well, it is first appearance of Thanos, Mentor, Drax the Destroyer, Star Fox, Kronos, and the Blood Brothers.
Yeah.
Jim Starlin, Joe Sinnott cover.
Iconic book. I had a 9.8 of this back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
2020, I had a 9.8. I sold it at the time, I think, for $550.
That's crazy.
Do I wish I'd have kept it? Not really. It's worth a lot of money now.
Yeah.
There's not many of them. But this is a book that I spent a lot of money on when I got it in 2021. And I'm just going to hold on to it because this is one of those books I think is stalwart. I think it's going to continue to be sought after. It's got tons of first appearances in it. The biggest Marvel movie of all time was based on the big bad Thanos that was introduced in this. Star Fox is kind of being flirted with as a future character. So anyway, tell us more about the book.
So the highest sale ever of a 9.6 of this book was $6,100. That was in 2022.
A lot more than it's trading for now.
Yeah, has not traded at all in 2024. In 2023, the highest sale was $4,800.
It's not bad.
$5,000 in 2021. So the highest sale the highest time it was selling was 2022. The last sale was $2,640. That was in December. The 90-day average is $3,230.
Yeah.
So it's going down. There's like a big arrow.
So let's do the 5-year.
So in 2019, it sold. The highest sale was $4,500. The lowest was $2,627, and there was 10 sales recorded in 2019.
So it got banged by the whole crash after the comic boom. And here's what I'm saying about this book. I'm pretty confident it's going to find its way back. Do I think it'll be a $4,000 book again? Wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of years if it gets back in there.
Yeah, because it stayed the same.
In this grade, right? So 9.6s, 9.8s are always going to be sought after if they're good-looking copies. If I'm really stressing anything now, buying from these eras has been pretty much safe. Staying away from MCU books that were affected in 2021 or 2022, even safer. I think the lesson there is don't buy a book because of the MCU. Don't buy a book because of a movie property. Don't be a speculator if you're not an actual speculator. You'll find yourself eating a lot of money, and I am a failed speculator. So I want you to know,
100%.
no, I've done fantastic on some books, but when you get your lunch eaten on a couple books, it really leaves a taste in your mouth. So that would be my advice: is buy what you love, buy things that you really are. If you're learning about something, do a lot of research before you buy it, but buy something that is going to make you happy when you look at it. If you're just doing this for an investment, I think $2,500 for this book, if it looked like that, because this is a great copy, white pages, perfectly centered. It looks like a 9.8, right? This is the kind I would pay $2,500 for. If it was off center and all that, I don't know, because as time goes on, when people spend a lot of money, they're looking at the stuff I'm telling you. So if you have a book that you'd like to be worth thousands one day, does it have those attributes? The fear of missing out really drives a lot of people's purchases. So, what I'd like to do is I would like to be your guinea pig. Send me in, coach. I'll do all the mistakes and I'll tell you all about it. And the funny news is I'm making a lot less of them today. I'm sure I have some in my future, but man, do I have a lot in my past. That's a show. It's a wrap.
We did it.
We did it.
Don't forget to subscribe because we make videos every week. We try at least.
See you next time.
Try. Follow us on Instagram. Okay, bye.
Follow us.